Okay, starting with number 1, we need to plug in W, which is 0.2, and then Y, which is 1/2. Order of operations, we need to do our multiplications before we subtract. 4 times 0.2 is 0.8. We still have minus, and then 8 times 1/2 is 4. So we have 0.8 minus 4. Go ahead and subtract. We get negative 3.2. Number 2, plug in Z, which is negative 4, and then it's squared, so put parentheses around the negative 4 because the entire Z gets squared, plus X, which is 10, gets multiplied by Y, which is 1/2. Square first, negative 4 squared is 16, and we can do our multiplication. Half of 10 is 5. 16 plus 5 would be 21. Number 3, 5 times 0.2 minus 10 times 1/2, and that's all over negative 4. Let's look at that numerator first. 5 times 0.2, that's 1, minus 10 times 1/2, that's 5. I'll come down here now. 1 minus 5 is negative 4, so I have negative 4 over negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4, which is a positive 1. Now we start simplifying. Combine like terms. 4x and 7x together make 11x. For the y's, negative 3y and positive 5y makes a total of 2y. So 11x plus 2y. Number 5, we need to distribute first. 2a plus 6. Now we combine like terms. I'll combine all the a's first. There's a 2a and a negative 4a together. That makes negative 2a. I've got a b, so I'll go ahead and put that next, plus 8b. And then that constant, just the number, no variable, just plus 6. So negative 2a plus 8b plus 6. Number 6, I'll distribute. 8m plus 20n. And then distribute. Don't forget this negative is with the 3, so we have to distribute the negative throughout. Negative 3 times m, and it's negative 3m. Negative 3 times negative 7, and negative times negative is positive. And then 21n. Now combine like terms. M's, 8 and negative 3 makes 5, so 5m. And then 20 and 21 makes 41n. So 5m plus 41n. Number 7, now we solve. Subtract 8. From 27 I get 19. Divide by 5. You can leave it as a fraction. So that's negative 3.8, or sorry, not negative, 3.8 as a decimal would be acceptable as well. Number 4, I'm going to subtract my 6w. I'll go ahead and subtract the 10 over to the other side then. So negative 2w equals negative 23. Divide by negative 2. W equals negative over negative is positive. So 23 over 2, or that's 11.5, 11 and a half. Number 9, fractions. A couple ways we can do it. The easiest way to do it is to figure out what's the smallest number that 6, 3, and 4 all go into. They all go into 12. So what I can do is multiply both sides of the equation by 12, or 12 over 1. Distribute to the left side. When that happens, 12 times x over 6. Well, 12 over 6 is 2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So I end up with just 2x. Then there's a plus, and then 12 times x over 3. Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4, so we get 4x. And then I run into the equal sign. Over here, 4 and 12. I can divide 12 by 4 3 times, and I have 3 times 3, which is 9. So 2x plus 4x equals 9. 2x plus 4x is 6x. Equals 9, divide by 6. I can divide both 9 and 6 by 3, giving me 3 halves, or 1.5 or 1.5. Number 10, I have to distribute 3b plus 6. I'm going to subtract 3b from both sides, and then also add the 5 over. So I get 3b equals 11, so divide by 3. 11 thirds, or it's 3 2/3, or 3.67 if you round it. Number 11. Now we're solving absolute values. R plus 5, its absolute value is 12. So R plus 5 could be one of two things. R plus 5 could be a negative 12, or R plus 5 could be a positive 12. Because both 12 and negative 12, their absolute values are 12. So I have to consider both of those, solve them both, we get two answers. Subtract 5, I get negative 17. And over here, subtract 5, and we get 7. So negative 17 and 7 are the answers. Number 12, first step is to divide by 4. So absolute value of a minus 6 is equal to 4. Now set up the two equations. So that expression inside a minus 6 could be one of two things. Could be 4 or negative 4, because their absolute values are both 4. So set it equal to negative 4, set it equal to positive 4. Add 6. So we get positive 2. Over here add 6 and we get 10, so 2 and 10. They do say to check your solutions. I happen to know that in all of these problems, or I'm confident, I should say, that in all of these problems these are going to work. So just to make this from being a really long video, I'm not checking the solutions unless I think I need to. I think I'll need to on number 14. Number 13, don't set up any equations. Notice right away, absolute value is equal to a negative. That's a problem. Absolute value is always positive. So there is no solution to number 13. Don't try to solve any problems. Number 14, I have algebraic expressions on both sides. That's why I'm confident I'll have to check these answers. So b plus 5, that expression side, could equal 2b minus 9. Or the b plus 5 could equal the opposite of that expression. So change both sides, negative 2b plus 9. Solve both of these. I'll subtract 2b, and I'll subtract, so I'll subtract a 2b. I should probably write this down so I don't get lost. Then I'm also subtracting 5. So negative b equals negative 14. So b is 14. There's one answer. Before I box it in, I should confirm that it's right. This one does happen to be, I think, well, let's go ahead and check it right now. Let's plug it in and see. So absolute value, so 14 plus 5 is 19. Absolute value of 19. On the other side, 2 times 14 is 28. 28 minus 9 is 19. Absolute value of 19 equals 19. Yes, it does, so that one works. Okay, now this one, let's add 2b. And let's subtract 5. 3b is equal to 4. Divide by 3, so I get 4 thirds, or 1 1/3, or 1.33. When I plug that in, so absolute value, so 4 thirds plus 5. And then over here I'll have 2 times 4 thirds minus 9. Okay, I need a common denominator. So instead of 5 over 1, I need to multiply the top and bottom by 3. So that way I have 4 thirds plus 15 thirds. Then over here, when I multiply by 2, I get 8 over 3. And so then I need to make common denominators. So multiply the top and the bottom of the 9 by 3, giving me minus 27 over 3. 8 minus 27 is negative 19 thirds. 4 thirds and 15 thirteenths is 19 thirds. I think I said 4 thirds plus 15 thirds is 19 thirds. Absolute value of 19 thirds equal negative 19 thirds? It does not. It equals a positive. So 4 thirds was extraneous. We crossed it out. It actually wasn't one of the solutions. So you had to check it to find it out. Unfortunately, that one was a fraction, so it made it a little bit of a pain to check. But we had to throw it out. Okay, now number 15, we've got to solve. Looks like we need to divide by negative 4. It is an inequality, so if we multiply or divide by a negative, our inequality sign flips, so it becomes greater than or equal to in this case. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. So a is greater than or equal to negative 6, and then we have to graph it on a number line. So I'll put the negative 6 in the middle. It can be equal to, so it's a closed circle. So greater than, so I shade to the right. sure you shade it dark so I can see it, and put an arrow there. Number 16, I've got to add 8 to isolate that fraction. R plus 5 is greater than 11. Now, instead of dividing by 5, or since it's divided by 5, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5, giving me R is greater than 55. So that's solved. Put the number line, put 55 in the middle. It's not equal to this time, so I use an open circle. It is greater than, so I shade to the right again. Number 17, looks like I need to distribute first. So 2x plus 6. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x over, and then I'll subtract the 4 over. Negative 9x is greater than or equal to 2. Divide by negative 9. Because I divided by negative, my inequality sign flips, so it becomes x is less than or equal to, and then keep that as a fraction, negative 2/9. You could also give the decimal of that. I'm not sure what that is, like maybe 0.44 or something like that. No, it'd be less than that. As a decimal, it's 0.222, yeah. So you could also, negative 0.22, you could also have that as well. That's a closed interval there, and it's less than, so we go to the left this time. Number 18, I've got to distribute here. So 15 plus 12p. Combine the like terms. I'm going to do the 15 minus the 2. 15 minus 2 is 13, so I have 13 plus 12p. I'll subtract 12p. I'll add 13. So negative 13p is less than 13 plus 13 is 26. Divide by negative 13. So since I'm divided by negative, I flip my sign. P is greater than negative 2. So put negative 2 on the number line. Open circle, it's greater than, so I go to the right. Number 19, it's an OR. Solve each inequality separately, so subtract 4. 2m is less than 3, divide by 2. M is less than 3 over 2, or 3 halves, or 1.5, however you want to say that, 1.5. And the second one, subtract 5. 3m is greater than 9, divide by 3. We get m is greater than 3. So m is less than 3 halves, or m is greater than 3. So as I graph this on a number line, you have to put both of those numbers on there. 3 is larger than 3 halves. 3 halves is 1.5. So the smaller one goes towards the left and the larger one towards the right. So the 3 halves towards the left, 3 towards the right. I want to be less than 3 halves, so I do an open interval and go to the left. It is an OR, so they don't have to overlap. And at 3, we want to open interval, and we want to go to the right. So there's our picture. Number 20, it's an AND. There's a 3-part, so we want to try and make the middle part just be x, so we subtract 3 from each part. Divide by 4 from all 3 parts. Giving me negative 2 is less than x is less than 4. So that's solve for x in the middle. So then our number line, negative 2 goes to the left, 4 to the right. Both of them are open intervals, and we're shading between them this time. This is an AND. So ANDs are the overlap of what's between them. Number 21, now we get into absolute value. Absolute value is less than 19, or we're going to be less than 19 miles away from our parents. So we want to be between the negative 19 and the positive 19. What is, well, that expression inside, the p minus 14, should be between those two. So when it's an AND, in both cases we use less than or equal to. Remember, this is not a greater or, this is a less than, so it's an AND. So we set it up just like this. Now solve, just like the AND we just solved, add 14 to all 3 parts. Negative 5 is less than or equal to p is less than or equal to 33. Closed intervals, both at -5 and at 33. It's an and, so we shade in between. Number 22, it's an absolute value. Greater, greater. So for one of them, we let 8q plus 5 be greater than or equal to 7, just like it says. Or, in the other case, we take the 8q plus 5 and we compare it to the -7, but we have to be less than or equal to, we have to flip our sign. So less than or equal to -7. Solve both of these. Q is greater than or equal to, that simplifies to 1/4. Or 12 and 8, they're both divisible by 4. -3/2, or -1.5. The number line, -3.5, goes towards the left. It's the smaller one. 1/4 goes towards the right. It's the larger one. I want to be greater than or equal to 1/4. So close circle at 1/4. Shade to the right of it. At -3/2, it's a closed circle. We want to be less than, so we go to the left of it. All right. Thanks for watching.